What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trade Decoded. It is August 12th, 2025, and I'm doing yet another video for no other reason other than the people in my community like them. And, well, I'm going to keep them much shorter and brief and fix the technical difficulties like I had yesterday. But nonetheless, today we got movement, which is exactly what we need as day traders. I'll explain to you what I did. I took a single trade that paid extremely well today. A whole bunch of other people took the same trade with me. There was quite a few trades that I did not take, that several people did that we were identifying as decent entries. And well, that's kind of how today went. So it was a good day. Buy my book, join my Discord community, and let's get into the charts. As customary, we do a call put scenario. Now, it's probably hard for you to see, but the put line was 574.94. With a break of that, we were hoping to go down to 574.29. Likewise, to the upside, if we can get a break above that, we were looking for from 575.41. We were looking for as high as this right here, this lower high here, which was 576.25. Now, we got a lot of reports today, and truthfully, the market was very green. In fact, it was at all-time highs yet again in pre-market, but was selling off into the open. Now, this morning, I made it very, very clear. I said, guys, I'm trying to stick to my rules. I'll be prepared for puts because we are trending down. This is where the start of my hesitation came in. I told everybody, I don't really want to play puts. I actually want to play calls because everything seemed happy. The reports were basically as expected, which I think the market and, well, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, you're waiting for the shoe to drop, the inevitable, or what you think to be inevitable, catastrophic news that's going to crash the markets. And well, we didn't get that, and at least not this time. And the market kind of stayed pretty happy. So I wasn't really trying to push puts for that reason. I felt uncomfortable, and I had gotten done explaining to everybody leading into the open. I said, I'm just going to be ready for puts, which means if it ends up going up, I'm going to miss the call opportunity. And the only reason that I'm going to miss it is because they're pretty close together. I'm not going to have enough time to switch over. And if it's not up, I'm going to have a hard time playing puts anyway, because everything in the top 10 is green. You know, it just didn't feel right. I basically psyched myself out. We got a massive green candle on the open on ADD. Q's was opening right on support. Struggling to move up. We did get a red candle here, but again, because I created all this doubt and hesitation in myself, I did not take this trade. Now, we had some people who did take it and actually scalped a win out of it. I did not. I also didn't take the calls, just because at this point I was overthinking everything. Which is not good. So I was aware of that. It was causing hesitation. Therefore, I was trying to be a little bit less aggressive for a change, just because I had to get my bearings right? I wanted the chart to prove to me a little bit more than normal, so I could feel more confident about what I was about to do. But then I had technical difficulties. We'll get into that. However, this did not resolve itself down to the support that we were hoping for, and people who did take it got in aggressively because we did recognize that up here we were at resistances on both charts, with ADD looking like it was printing red here. So the people who did take this, a lot of which took before the put line, and were able to scalp something out of it. Even if they didn't, it was very evident the very next candle that we were putting in a higher low. Higher lows are bad for puts, so those who stayed in stopped out a little bit earlier. And then we had a big, gigantic green candle that got through resistance, to which I said, guys, even if you wait for a candle close above the call line, which I said this before 9:30, if you get a candle close above the call line, as long as there's room to go, we should be good to go up. There's plenty of room up to, this level right here at 576.27. ADD was printing green at the time, so this was a much better entry, much better trade setup than anything leading up to that point. Again, I wasn't in it because I had created all kinds of problems for myself mentally, emotionally, whatever the case. Then we pulled back. If you didn't take your profits here, we were stuck at resistance here. SPY was nearing resistance. Okay, it's not the blue line, it's this right here. And we put in another higher low. Now, ADD was still printing green at this point, so higher lows are bad for puts, which means we're not looking for puts for a pullback here. We're looking for calls. We get through this resistance. We're not looking for a big move on the Qs just to the pink line. You got that. Now, it was 2 minutes before that candle got here, my internet shut off. And I ended up using my phone as a hotspot, got back in right after this drop, which, by the way, I think came from Trump saying he wanted to sue Jerome Powell. I don't care what the man says, as long as he makes the market move. So I got back in right after this candle printed. A whole bunch of people got into puts here because we were at resistance on both charts. Okay, both charts at resistance, and ADD was printing red. So this would have been a trade setup or a counter trend trade setup I would have been looking to take as well if I was on there. I was not. I showed up a couple minutes after that candle. Shortly thereafter, I said, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if the Qs could put in a lower high. Qs put in a lower high. We're expecting support here to fail, and we're hoping to get down to the next support. Now, in this case, these orange dotted lines, if you watch my videos, these are 50% retracements between known levels of support and resistance. Okay, so they're not proven support or resistance levels, although oftentimes they do hold as support and resistance levels. Keep in mind, I draw these lines an hour before the market opens. So I drew all these lines before, I drew all these around 8:30. So all this, where it hits resistance, support, all of this is just retracement levels. All right, with that said, lower high, ADD's printing red. I'm looking for this to go down to the next support. And whatever happened here, we must have got a huge spike in volatility because we had some people make 40% returns on this first candle alone. I ended up at 60.08% return on this trade. I had an alert down there. I didn't wait for the beep, which came on the next candle. And I said, I'm taking my profits here because of the emotional distress I put myself under in the beginning of the day. My internet issues, I just wanted to take a trade. I wanted to get in, I wanted to get out, and I wanted to be done. This was that trade for me, ended up becoming a banger. Kudos to those of you who bought in up here and held all the way down to there. I was not here to take that trade, which is unfortunate. And then we move up. Now people are wanting to buy puts here, assuming this is going to be a lower high. And I specifically said here, this may become a lower high, but I'm not going to assume that, nor am I going to buy this pullback. Why? Because ADD is printing green. I'm going to assume that this is not going to be a lower high. Even if it is, I don't have the confluence of the small caps on my side. And as a result, I'm not taking this. However, we did make it a higher low, which is bad for puts. With that higher low, we're expecting to run up to the next resistance. And I want to bring to your attention the fact that, oh, I didn't move this arrow up there. The fact that this was our target, this resistance right here, to the penny we got there, okay? ADD was still printing green at this point. We pull back, we put in another higher low, okay? ADD started to print green again right after the higher low. We're expecting the next resistance up, which is all the way up here. Now, as we were getting to this point and struggling to move up, I had said to everybody, guys, if you're in calls from down here, I would tighten up my stop losses. I said, SPY is struggling right here at a resistance. It's not actual resistance. They had created these resistances. So Qs are struggling to go up, SPY is struggling to go up, and ADD is rotating down. I would protect my profits, you don't have to get out, with a stop loss because I'm worried that ADD might be a precursor to a move that could happen. If it doesn't happen, you stay in the trade and it continues to go up and you continue to make money. If it does happen, which 2 minutes, a minute and a half after we had this conversation, you got this pullback. Now, a pullback is all it was. Where did it pull back to? Well, that old resistance that was our target turned into support, literally to the penny. So we did have some people hold the calls, trusted the pullback, trusted that it was going to hold. I would not have. I would not have bought in this pullback because ADD was red at the time. I would have missed an entry here. However, it did become a higher low. It did pull back to a support level on both charts. Okay. Just, I would have felt much better with a higher low first and ADD starting to print green again. Ultimately, it started to do that. And you got another opportunity to run up to the exact resistance we were hoping for. And that point, it basically stalled out for quite a bit. Then we put in a higher low. Now I had at least one person holding on to calls during this, and we were asking Steven to please get us to the pink line, which is why this screen or this alert is here. That all happened, and then once we just kept melting up. As we got up here, we kind of just pinned ourselves up here and slowly ground sideways into the close. So it was a great day for the market. It started to get a lot more difficult to trade when the charts flattened out as the day progressed. But most of us don't trade after 12 o'clock, so there wasn't much there to miss out on. The market's happy. It's happy. Is it going to be happy forever? No. I don't know what the future brings, and well, nobody really does. But what we do know is what setups have a high probability chance of working. And if you know what those setups are and you're patient enough to wait for them, your odds of winning are going to increase exponentially. I truly believe that. If you believe that trading is really a 50-50 opportunity, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. If you don't think you can tilt the odds in your favor just by being patient and knowing what to look for, then I think you're wasting your time trying to trade. Day trade. Investing's a different story. Okay. So if you are interested in what it is that you should be looking for, or at least that what we look for, you can find it all in this book right here. Now, I do want you guys to know that on page 70 of this book, if you've already purchased it, there is a link that brings you to a charting session that I made specifically for the guys and girls who bought this book. If you missed it or you read over it, check it out. It's really intuitive. It's very easy to follow, and it explains everything as far as charting goes. All right, so check it out. Also, if you'd like to join our Discord community, I would personally love to have you. I'll greet you every morning with a good morning, as I do everybody else in the community. And the links to join are down below. Finally, if you got any useful information out of this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Got a long way to go to hit my ultimate goal, my YouTube goal of 100,000 subscribers. I'd be honored if you'd help me get there. But for the rest of you, thank you for watching. Hope you all had a fantastic day. Till tomorrow. I love you guys. See you.